That was only last year. I was the one that helped JC learn how to do live streams. You know, they sit and watch my live streams. Genetics told me. She watches my live streams, so she gets info from me. So I'll break that unit whenever the time's right. Don't.
She was a very unpleasant woman. So anyone who wants to white knight for her and say she was a wonderful person, and that, you know, anyone who wants to be protective of her legacy and say she was a wonderful person and she, you know, anyone who wants to defend her, I wouldn't even bother. I've got more of that, and that's just a very small example. The way she talked about people was just so condescending. She was so full of herself, so conceited. Everything was about her. She didn't like anyone. And, you know, I've had to clip and edit things out because it's very hard to listen to anything. You know, whenever she would make a sentence or a paragraph, whenever she would speak, it was always colourful language used. So I'm trying to edit that out. She had nothing good to say about Salty. She was just very condescending. If she liked you, she only liked you for a time until she realized you were no longer useful to her. And if she kept you around and she didn't like you anymore, you might not have known it, but she would keep you around if you were useful to her, if you were a flying monkey for her, and if she could use you in some way for roof fund donations so that you could put her PayPal link into her stream, so you would speak up for her. And, you know, she didn't like me in the end because she realized that I was too opinionated and she could not manipulate me. And, you know, I haven't done a video for a long time, and there's not one thing that I'm going to talk about here. Basically, I'm in this video, I want to talk about YouTube drama, and I want to talk about things that are going on in the world. But there's, you know, I don't have one specific thing that I'm going to talk about. It's YouTube drama. It feels a bit weird because I haven't done a video in a while and I've been busy and I just haven't really felt like doing videos. It's summer. You know, by the time it's 6:30 in the morning, it's bright sunshine and the birds are chirping. You get up and you kind of sit with yourself. And I like to have a quiet moment in the morning where I sit in front of my Buddha and just, you know, have thoughts to myself. There's a lot of drama on YouTube, a lot of drama. I wake up to drama on YouTube all the time, whether it's Lycan and his friends, or some people will call them enablers, or whether it's something on this side of Watts Island or that side of Watts Island. There's always some drama on YouTube, and there's drama in the world. But, you know, anyone who wants to defend BAM, I would think twice about that if I were you.
Because as I've said several times, I've got an education and I also have a spinal injury that means I can't work, you know, so I depend on getting, donations from time to time, because sometimes those donations mean whether you eat or not. And that's the truth.
She actually admitted to me once that she depended on donations. And, you know, I just think that everybody in her channel was useful to her in some way in that regard. Now, I know that some of you are on Scottcast Watch. And I'm making the most of all this stuff. Like, I think that Scott has a different view of this than I do. And I think that's causing some kind of tension between us at the moment. But this is what I have learned, and I know that I was probably the youngest person in BAM's channel. I think I was the youngest. I don't know for sure because I haven't gone around and asked people how old they are, and, you know, I don't tell people how old I am, but I do think I was the youngest on BAM's channel, or certainly one of them. But we're all women, and I can still give advice to women. It doesn't matter. What I have learned since I've been on YouTube is that don't play with men and their emotions. And even if you're not playing with their emotions, don't step on their emotions. You know, as women, it's very acceptable in society for us to show, for women to show emotions, for women to be emotional. With men, it's not as, some men see showing emotions as a weakness, and it's more acceptable for women to be open about their emotions and their feelings and to cry, where men will keep their emotions bottled up inside. And what happens then is that their feelings of resentment can start to fester, and then there's the hormonal differences between men and women as well, and how we channel our feelings is different. How women and men channel their feelings is different, but men can be just as emotional as women and just as sensitive. And my advice and what I've learned since I've been on YouTube is don't play with men and their emotions, even if you're not doing it intentionally. Be very careful. Men don't want. Men don't want. How do I put it? Men want to be sure about where they stand, and even if you tell a man that you love them, or you're open about your emotions about somebody and your feelings about someone, that it's not enough for men. A man wants to know where they stand, and they want to know that they want to know what their position is. Scott is very much like that. And I know that some of you are on Scottcast watching. People want to know what's happening. Even if I never speak to Scott again, which is very unlikely, but just say I never spoke to him again, he knows how I feel about him. I've been very open about my feelings for him. I adore Scott. I love him. I like him, whatever you want to call it. He knows that he has my heart in that way, but that's not enough for him, I don't think. And I think I think he's annoyed with me, and I think he's annoyed with the environment on YouTube that he's, every day I wake up, there is another video that somebody's making of him. And I think he's just tired of it. He's tired of it. Having said that, I understand that when you're somebody who makes videos of other people, and with his AD videos, I understand that that's going to cause. If you make videos of other people criticizing other people, you're going to get attention, and you're going to get, if you have a sizable enough channel, you're going to get attention and you're going to get detractors. And some people say it's not detracting. We're not detractors. I understand that, but that's the word that I prefer to use. But, the fact of the matter is, whether I agree with the things that Scott says and does or not, I am in his corner. I love Scott, and I'm in his corner, whether I agree with him or not. And, as a woman, I think that sometimes saying that I love you, or saying that I care about someone, or saying, being affectionate, I think that's going to solve everything. And it doesn't always solve everything, because men want to know where they stand. And I don't think he likes the fact that I spoke to his detractors, and that I tried to be cool with them. I don't like conflict, and that's why I'm trying to be kind of in the media, in the middle. But I'm always, at the end of the day, and I hope he knows this, he'll watch everything. He watches everything I put out, and he'll know this. He'll see this. I'm always going to be on his side because I love him. So I might get on with his detractors, and I might be cool with them. But at the end of the day, I don't want to see him upset, and I don't like a lot of the videos that I made about him. And that's just honest. I'm just being honest. I'm on his side always, whether I agree with what he does or not. My heart is with him. There's another thing I want to talk about very briefly, and that's Lycan. The Lycan, Amber, and Tiffany love triangle persists, continues. For some reason, all three of them seem to be drawn to each other like moths to a flame. I thought it was over between. I know that it's over physically, but I thought that it was over between these three. But there's always something. And Lycan claims he's got a girlfriend. And a lot of people claiming that his girlfriend is his hand or his arm, Noodle Mash made a video which made me laugh so hard. Some people are claiming, and I listened to Jura's live with CJ. I get so much juicy gossip from Jura's channel. Juicy gossip. I love gossip. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to pretend that I don't. And they were talking about, or they discussed the possibility that Lycan is pretending to have a girlfriend, and that he really doesn't have a girlfriend, and it's all it's all about it's all about nothing. That there's no girlfriend. And I just find that so funny. Another thing I want to touch on briefly is that, how many of you think that Trump's going to be re-elected in November? Is it November? I'm not 100% sure. Because there's so much drama surrounding him. I mean, you could make a whole book on him. I mean, is he going to be re-elected? What do you think? You guys can tell me what you think down below, if you even get to this part of the podcast. The other thing about men is sometimes they want everything all at once. They want an email, and then the email is not good enough. After like 2 conversations, they want you to phone them. They want to be, they want to speak to you on the phone. So and Scott's very much like that. I have no problems at all with Scott wanting to talk to me on the phone. That's natural. We both want to talk to each other like that. We both want to have access to each other. That's natural. But, start with the email first. Let's get that going. And then later. But, sometimes men, they just want everything all at once. And I think because of what's going on, he's a little bit paranoid and he doesn't trust people. And I'm not sure he really trusts me at the moment. So, Anyway, and I'm going to swiftly move on to this because I've got to make my lunch and I haven't even had my breakfast yet. There's been some talk about me suddenly switching sides. I was in Bam's channel and I seem to be on her side. And I'm friendly with some of the Rzucek supporters, so that means people have decided that I'm suddenly on the Rzucek side of the fence. Well, let me just tell you this. I haven't donated to Frankie's Crowd Justice Fund, and I won't be donating, ever. I'm not going to donate a penny to Frankie's Crowd Justice Fund because I think once AD was gone off of YouTube, that was it. No more. I think pursuing AD is a waste of time. And I've said this already. But I still wish the Rzucek family well. I've never been on any particular side. I had a very strong opinion about the Claire Morgan situation, and that's what drew me to BAM in the first place. And, we can explore that. I can talk more about that in part 2. But I never had, BAM thrived on bitterness and disdain. I never had the disdain for the Rzucek family that she did. I wish the Rzucek family peace, and I wish them well. And it just so happens that I have become friendly again with some of the Rzucek supporters, and I've spoken up in support of Helen. Helen has never done anything to me. I didn't feel it was necessary to hold on to any resentment towards Helen because we had a differencing of opinions. I'm not friendly with all the Rzucek supporters. I'm friendly with some of them. Doesn't mean that I'm best friends with them or I'm going to be on, I'm on their side. Like I said, I won't be donating to Frankie's Crowd Justice, and I still believe Claire Morgan was a non-lawyer. But that doesn't mean to say that I can't be friendly or be respectful and have civil discourse with people on the Rzucek side of the fence. Some people want to hold on to disdain and resentment for the rest of their entire lives. I don't. I want peace. And that's why I decided that I was going to be civil to the Rzucek supporters. And I don't see anything wrong with that. It doesn't mean that I suddenly, become a Rzucek supporter again. I'm not. But I don't think there's anything wrong with being civil to people that you might have an opposing opinion to. I want peace. That's what I want.